I want to see how everyone's doing. I want to see who pops in the chat. I want to see how everybody's doing. This is where I'm at. I want to see who pops in. Nobody's been popping in since I called everybody out. I called everybody out for being sick fucks to watch me suffer and to be entertained by it. But that's what I wanted, right? 10,000 rocks on the lake. So don't call me baby unless you mean it. Don't tell me you need me unless you mean it. So let me know the truth before I dive right in to you. You're a mystery. I have traveled the world and there's no other girl like you. Oh, what's your history? Do you have a tendency to lead some people on? 'Cause I heard you do. I could fall, I could fly, here in your aeroplane. I could live or I could die hanging on the words you say. And I've been known to give my all and jumping in harder than 10,000 rocks on the lake. So don't call me baby unless you mean it. Don't tell me you need me unless you mean it. So let me know the truth before I dive right into you. Before I dive right into you. Before I dive right into you. I won't complain today. I won't complain. It is what it is, chat. It is what it is. I won't complain tonight. Before I dive right in to you, your mystery. Do you have a tendency to lead some people on? I heard you do. No, I could fall, I could fly, here in your aeroplane. I could live, I could die hanging on the words you say. Yeah, 333. I just wanted to see if anyone would pop in. You know they ain't doing nothing. The world's getting bad, guys. The world's getting bad. The world is getting bad, guys. The world's getting bad. What you doing? I'm just making sure my subscribers are okay. I'm doing all right, man. I was out in the woods all day today. I went out and set up my tent in the forest. And I had a lot of big revelations about stuff that I had forgot about because we live in an information world now. And all these people have different informational bodies of vibes and paradigms and mindsets and social structures. And they have belief systems that are ingrained in the public. So when I came into this town, just like I came into the last town and the last town and the last town and the last town for 10 years, it's a different vibe everywhere I go. I love to see all the different songs. I love to take my car and drive through all the different roads and villages in Vermont and listen to different music and see how the different towns make the songs feel differently. I've learned about stuff about, because I learned a lot about my life path number. I got a lot of more information on the day in numerology, what the day means to be an 11, because those are titles, basically. You should see the life path number and the day you're born as titles. that have certain responsibilities and they do different functions. So I don't think it's a coincidence. It's not. Nothing's a coincidence. I was supposed to be born on the winter solstice, but I crawled out. I forced my way out. It had to be a C-section birth. So I made it. So I had to come out on the 11th. That's how I was born. And then I was choked by the umbilical cord, and I was taken in a helicopter in midday with the sun right above my head, and I was flown north. So don't call me baby unless you mean it. Don't tell me you need me if you don't believe it. So let me know the truth before I dive right in to you. Before I dive right in to you. Oh, fuck. To you. Before I dive right into you. It's hard. Ugh. It's a lot better when I'm used to headbutting a lot. When I'm not at war and I'm stagnant, it's hard to go forward, but I pick up the pieces and keep going. I did the same thing I always do, chat. I met leaders of the community, and I had to go through these long, dramatic battles with them that brought them to a better paradigm, and now they're doing better. The police are looking for me. They heard me scream, and somebody called, and now there's 2 cruisers scoping around the place. Because of course they are. I'm screaming. Yeah. Before I dive right into you. Do you have a 3 cruisers. Do you have a tendency to lead some people on? 'Cause I heard you do. This place is full of bullies. They're full of bullies. I hate white America, man. Last year around this time, I was in Shelburne, which is a very, very nice area. And you had like middle-aged men in SUVs that were walking tiny dogs that would see my car that didn't have license plates. And I was asleep in the back, and they'd see me at like a boat launch. And I'd wake up and they were slamming on the ground, stomping around, screaming about me, calling the police and telling them I'm shooting up heroin, and I'm screaming at them when I was asleep. One time I went and I sang a song to myself, like a Irish sea shanty out in the lake. And they sent the cops and told them that there was a dying dog. And they said, there's a dog dying. Just to shit on me. Because they knew it wasn't a dog. I saw them call. I was just singing out at the lake. And nobody was there. Except the regulars that drive down there to see the view. They could have said stop. So I'm just seeing how people are doing, seeing who's popping in. People have not been joining my live since I called everybody out for being sick fucks that got entertained by my suffering. And I felt a huge shift in the collective. Because during Leo season, I felt everybody around me all the time. But since that one moment where I called people out, people have stopped tuning in. I was in like these back and forths with these prideful children. Were watching my ascent, and they would be supportive when I was low and depressed, and then I got to a certain threshold where I started to feel confident, and then they all flipped the switch somehow subconsciously, and they all came back to shit on me. So I did some subconscious stuff that wasn't outright there. You wouldn't really realize what I did. But I knew what I did, and I knew the decision I made when I said it, and they have not been back since. It was just like a motion that you could only feel in your subconscious. Like it was just like one smack to the collective conscious. And I saw all their lights go out, and they stopped being invested in the story. Which is good, because for the most part, they're leeches, man. People are only supportive after you're successful. Do you have a tendency to lead some people on? I know you do. What's the song? Hold up. We're going down, and you can see it too. We're going down, and you know that we're doomed, my dear. We're slow dancing in a burning room. What's your history? So, I've applied to jobs. Most of the jobs I'm looking for, the ones that are outside, the only jobs that are outside require me to have the means to be able to get like 40 miles to one job site one day, and then 40 miles to the next job site the next day, and then 40 miles to the next job site, which sucks. All the other places, I've really tried. I'll like, when I think about getting a job, I'll go stand in the job that I'm thinking about applying, and I'll just stand there for like 30 minutes just to see like a sneak peek of what it would be like. And I'm not going to subject myself to that torture. I'm not going to do it. I've come so far and I've learned so much just to have, yeah. So the gang stalkers are picking up the slow cars with the people staring. It picks up. It's dead quiet for hours. Nobody's been around for hours, but I hit a certain frequency and they're here. The other night, right before the full moon, I'll tell you real quick. I'm getting very good at transcending paradigms. So I'll live in one reality and I'll have a bunch of relationships, and then I'll hit like this domino effect where I raise above it and I kind of exit reality. It's like I activate the brain in the jar, and then the brain in the jar gets aware that it's a brain in the jar, and then it understands that everything outside of the brain in the jar is a hallucination created by the brain in the jar. And then I start to fuck around and see what I can get away with. And that's like, now there's loud noises all around me, cars are circling me. The other night, I did it right during the full moon, and there was an old man walking with his head down like this, and he was limping right when I hit the activation switch, and he limped and he looked up like this, and then I saw like this black monster come across his face and try to jump at me, and then I felt him try to rip out all those codes that I had set, the software that I had set in my brain in a jar. If you see energies and thought forms and patterns like physical things that can be torn off spiritually, that's what he was trying to do, because then they were trying to overlap another layer of reality to set in that layer of reality that kind of pulls these like dark entities. And there's something floating above me right now that just hit me with a bunch of light that said, don't talk about it, don't say that, and you can see it too. We're going down, and you know that we're doomed, my dear. We're slow dancing in a burning room. I have a lot of esoteric secrets that I don't share with anybody because they don't deserve it. And I know they want to hear it, but I won't give it to them. My dear, we're slow dancing. Oh, God. I'm just waiting to see who pops in, man. I'm doing check-ins. I want to see if people will show up, but I doubt they will. Another insight. I'll go to 15 minutes, maybe. I'll go longer than 15. Let's do like, what do people want to... We haven't heard from the Fairfields in months. I don't know what happened. I think the last thing Susie said to me is, you get 1%. I'm like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means, Susie. We're going down. And I haven't heard from him since. So I don't know. I think Fire My Laser joined. He said something. I think the last thing Larry said was trying to correct me about the behavior of crows. Like I'm not sitting out here watching the behavior of crows every day for months. What was her name? What was my mod's name? Black Rose? Black Rose hasn't been around. I was saying something. What was I talking about? I mean, in the woods, I'm hanging out with eagles. There's an eagle that scares the crows. I found a place where an eagle goes, and I hung out with the eagle long enough that when I go there, the crows still fuck with me. Like, I raise my awareness and realize, if I have 1,000-mile stare, my energy's projecting as far as I can see. So I can kind of realize that I can raise my awareness and realize that there's a buzz and a connection between me and the crows tend to follow me, and they'll start to like use that tether like a string of like a dark violin that starts to play, and then I start having thoughts that aren't my own, and then all of a sudden, I'll look at my phone and I spend $80 on random shit like food and stuff from the dollar store that I think will help me, like socks and toothbrush, toothpaste, deodorant. But I knew I didn't want to buy anything. I wanted to save that money for a guitar. And I've been going back and forth with this guy from Albany. He knows about my story. And he's offering me a guitar for like $150, and it's a really nice one. But then I'm like fighting with the crows, and then suddenly 12 hours have passed, and I was like, I wasn't conscious for any of that at all. And I look at my phone and I spent money. I was like, what the fuck did I even do in that 12 hours? I don't remember a single thing about what happened. And it took me going out into the woods. And it felt like my whole identity got ripped away. And then I had a dream that there were evil witches and like gang stalkers. I had a dream that there were like people from my past that were projecting onto me. And I hadn't realized they were projecting. So I was spewing out the energy that they were projecting. And then I was trying to get with someone I thought was my soulmate. Like I went to where she was in the dream, and I had to get through like a security guard, and like her family members were like blocking the way, and I showed up there like trying to be a knight in shining armor, and she walked up and saw that I was just like this trapped homunculus of all the people that were projecting onto me. And she walked away, and I woke up and I was like, fuck, man, I really need to take advantage of my genius and really persevere out here. I need to get back into what stagnation and laziness has. It's more than that. I don't give myself enough credit for how far I've come. And I kind of make light of the severity of how I've been treated and what I've been through. Yeah. But the world is catching on. All these major podcasts are talking about fasting, and they're bringing in information I didn't know. Like when you get these they're going further into hour increments about what happens between a 15 and a 17-hour fast. It's like you hit a 15-hour fast, and then autophagy starts, and then you go to 17 hours, and then it starts at the same time, it starts to strengthen the good. So we thought autophagy and apoptosis was if you just stop eating, your body will just consume the bad stuff for food and fuel to get you through. What we didn't know until recently, it's been proven now. I don't remember what the process is called. I think it's just still autophagy still. Is that when you're in that fasted state, not only does it take out the bad, but it goes in and optimizes and strengthens the good parts. So the cells that are doing the best in your body, when you're in a fasted state, those cells get supercharged because the body wants those super cells to reproduce, to take over what the body is going to eat in other places. Does that make sense? Isn't that crazy? When you stop eating for a long period of time, your body will not only identify the cells that are weak and lagging behind or dead or parasites, bacteria that it doesn't need, stuff that's in the body that doesn't serve it, and then it will also find the cells that are functioning the best. And at the same time, it starts to take from the bad and then supercharge the good so that the good will reproduce more. Can you guys see the correlation between that and society? That the bad people get taken out and the good people get supercharged in the hopes that they can reproduce? My dear, we're slow dancing in a burning room, burning room. You can see it too. They really ate my spirit, guys. Voodoo rituals in Beckley. I went to the hood in Beckley and they did a fucking ritual on me, guys. Can you believe that? Can you believe that they did that? And then they tried to convince me I was a dog, man. One of the pastor tried to convince me I was gay. And then I went to the hood to try to make friends. And they tried to make me into a dog, guys. Isn't that crazy? I didn't realize how fucked up I'd become. Because I had so much blessings at the same time. Nobody's commenting. Nobody's commenting. I don't even know who's here. And you can see it too. We're going down. You know that we're doomed, my dear. We're slow dancing in a burning room. I don't really say things about the future or about the present because the things I seem to be saying online, as soon as I say them, I find that the people that I have kind of clocked as gang stalkers that have been obsessed about me for years, I suddenly get very inspired to check their page. And then I look at their page and they're talking and acting like me, saying the things that I say to you guys. Do you understand? The people that I feel were trying to be in competition with me when I release a song, like Original Songs 2 or something, as soon as I release it to the world, as soon as I let it go, all of a sudden it sprouts up everywhere else. Like I started singing my songs, and then John Bellion, one of my heroes in music, changed his whole thematic and musical style to reflect the energy I had expressed. So how do I save the world in secret? My dear, we're slow dancing in a burning room. The first thing would be that I like I need to be able to get in and out of the woods and through these towns. So a car would not be as good as a motorbike. Whoever popped in the chat, I got a message for you. As soon as you popped into the chat, somebody jumped into my energy field and it was reminding me about someone dangerous in the community. Somebody jumped out at me. Someone from my past is now in town, and I saw him. So I'll sit in the woods and cultivate, and then I have to lunge. I have to shoot like an arrow or like a gauntlet or like American Ninja Warrior when I have to get from one place across town to get here from the woods. And they be throwing me curveballs all the time. It's like the whole town. It's just people get out of their house and they walk in a straight line to block my way. And then if that doesn't work and I'm doing well, you know, the usual stuff. But now it's like enemies from my past have been showing up. So I think that if I were to get into society and become employed, I don't want to get more hooked up to this system that seems to be driving humanity insane. I'm not finding anyone on Facebook. Facebook is like a ghost town full of like rampaging feral zombies. People come in, I see people one day, and then within an hour I'll like give somebody something that wakes him up. I'll like give him good codes and inspire him, but he starts to function. He's more animated. I come back in a half hour and he's worse. It's like society has been, there's like a kill switch that's gone on, and people are not doing well. And I have many ideas, but I don't know how to implement them. And oftentimes, where I'm at, it's like I coalesce the energy and I go to put it into writing, and immediately it's like the dense reality around me becomes violent. Something attacks my authenticity. Does that make sense? That I can feel like there's this dense darkness in the world. Like, even if I'm just standing here and there's somebody standing over there, I can, usually as like an empath, I can sort of see what they're channeling, what's attached to them, and what's coming out of that channel when they're trying to create. So I can tell, like, when people say bots, those things that they create are just predictable spouting off from the system. They haven't grown in a unique and individual way that allows them to have conscious, creative, critical thinking. Yep. But I can feel like as I walk through this, I can see that there's darkness covering the whole place. And when I start to shoot light through that darkness and hold a space and have creative differences and set parameters and grow like a tree and have beliefs, the more I do that, the more that the people in the town seem to get agitated. The whole world seems to be coming at me all the time. And I think it's because if I kept going long enough, I think I would just be able to see the world at such an energetic level that if there were to be entities around me, they'd be a lot more visible, because most people can't raise their awareness and really pay attention to what's happening. Like, I stimulate my third eye a tiny bit and the world gets extremely chaotic very quickly. And I just don't trust people anymore, man. I have no trust. I have no trust, and I know I'd be a good leader. I know I'm on a time frame. Is it too late? I don't know if it's too late or not. I basically need a computer, a guitar, a microphone, an audio interface, headphones for that, and then plugins. Then I would need a hop to a motorcycle, like a dirt bike, to get it in and out of the woods. And then maybe if I wanted to go deeper into that, it would be like a portable power station and solar panels to be able to stay out longer out there. Then I want a drone and a camera and and then a nice microphone, and then one of those strap-on microphones for pranks. And then I'm in position to do a lot more. I could start doing interviews, I could start doing street interviews, I could start doing tours of Vermont, I could start animating and making music videos and finishing my songs. I could get around more. But that shit's like $3,000. For all that together would be $3,000. Now if I know if I was a driver at FedEx, I might be able to make 1,000 a week. busting my ass for the month of October. For Libra season, I could maybe get enough. I know I'm gonna be out. I'm torn between. I know nobody's gonna get here. I know nobody gives a fuck. But I'm stuck between either I'll be living in a shack or a tent for the winter, or like a yurt. And I'll be cutting down trees and I'll be living out there, hunting. Or I'm thinking I might take a bus down to like Arizona or New Mexico and do the same setup I have now. Get a bike and go survive out there for the winter. I know that there's a pedophile in this town that's followed me for a year now. And I want to get him on a video like Gideon when they do the predator catches. I have these characters in my story. I rarely feel like God's talking to me anymore. But today, I got one message. Like usually I was so full of inspiration that it was overwhelming and I'd like fall on the ground with the brain injury trying to make sense of everything. But today I got like one little blip of what used to be like the symphony. I got one little note, and that was that it told me that I'm too good of a work of art to not be showed off. And that there's so much about me that the world would want to see, but they're stuck with people like Gideon and EDP and other people like that because those are the most deranged people that went crazy enough to be in that position, but they're not the greatest role models. They're not even very intelligent. They're not very good artists. They were just crazy enough to keep going. So that's the only thing I got today. The rest it just seems like I'm being tortured every day. So that's where I'm at. All the jobs I applied to, I cannot get to because they require means to travel. And the jobs that I was thinking about, I went and sat in. And it's just the dynamic in the culture is so fucked up now. Society's gone the wrong way. And I don't want to spend my last days on Earth before the election and before robots come out in 2025. There's like huge world-changing events every year of the snake. So something's gonna happen, and I don't want to spend that. I'd rather spend it sitting alone outside in like a half state than to be like suffering to make $10 an hour. And the good jobs that are like $20 an hour out here, you need to get around. You need to get between towns, and you need transportation for that. So I'm keeping the intention up, and usually I catch inspiration sometimes, and it's like a timeline opens for me, or maybe it's like spirit guides or Jesus or something gives me like a story that I can start to hold on to. And then when I follow that and I get excited for that, that's when I get cool things like this bike and stuff like that when I go down the journey. So I'm just kind of waiting for the journey to pop into my head, and I'm just slowly working on the music every day. I don't know if I'm gonna get on food stamps. Every time I sign up for food stamps, it's like I cut off my connection to so much more. I get stuck. It's like anytime I deal with the government, it's like there's like some subconscious traps in a higher system that they've learned to utilize, and they keep a cult, and they set up the world that way. So even if I go to the government for help, it seems like there's a lot of other shit that comes with it that I don't like. So I'd rather be poor and free. I'm not suffering. Like here, you can get a whole pizza for $4, and I can grill that over there. But I don't have income. So I don't know, man. I get mad and I think about going the distance, and I'm like, where would I even go? I can see myself like running to Los Angeles or New York City or down to Miami. And then I'm just doing the same thing, running around looking for opportunities and then getting let down by the world and driven insane. And then I have to sit there and suffer and then wait and try to fight it and piece it all back together. Try not to waste any time. And then I come back. And then it's just all the my ex-girlfriend I wanted to be with again is older. All my friends have moved on. That they were already heartless and jealous and betrayed me and did me horribly wrong, and so they're already not worth seeing. But I just kind of keep it in my head, like maybe one day we can come back and actually, maybe this time around, if I come back with the right way and I play the right song and the right notes at the right time, I say the right things, I could get them to realize how beautiful and unique their individual characters are and all the cool themes and traits surrounding their life and how cool their name and birthday are and how that ties in with everything. And we could be our best selves and make something happen that the world would love to see. But it's just I see them and I'm not speaking to them. I'm speaking to this gross black sludge monster, kind of like a black shadow demon version of Randall from Monsters Inc. And that thing is just jumping at me the whole time. Like you guys saw. I posted a video of a literal guy that was getting puppeted by demons. You can, hopefully, if you have an emotion, you're able to recognize power dynamics with energy. You could see that guy was trying to rope out all my spiritual Bitcoin and become me so that he could take it with him and leave me lifeless and empty. And he kind of did. I think that he did. I think you guys can see that there's a big change since then. So the bus is the only way that they can get me. Because I'm trapped and we're moving and I can't get out. I can't run to a better place like I do here. So every time I get on the bus, I have the worst experience of the whole thing. And I'm not going to talk about it, man. Because nobody would understand, and even if they did, I don't think anybody would care. It really hurts. But I guess I wouldn't be special. I like whatever gave me this bike. I don't know if I like God. I don't know if I like Jesus. But whatever gave me this bike really helped. Everything else has been torture. So I'm just waiting for a job to pop up that I can take. I can't go anywhere. I can't do anything. Yeah. I don't know. Are you guys starting to think? Does the world outside seem a bit more disrespectful than usual? For me, the world outside has gotten really disrespectful. And I'm telling you, I'm having whatever's housing the bodies of these people. You can tell by their behavior that they're puppeted. And something is using them to attack me. For the most part, like in my day-to-day, I'll do something like I'm in one space like this, and then if I choose to get on my bike and I want to go down that way, it's like as soon as I turn the corner, there's a gang stalking fat white person with the sunglasses, head down, walking the exact same way. It doesn't matter the body, it's the behavior, and they're walking the same way. And then everywhere I go, I'll run into that. Like as soon as I decide to leave this area, I have gang stalkers around me. Like cars that follow me through town, people coughing and stomping and trying to get in the way, people screaming at me when I go down the street. And I just ignore everything and just push forward to get to where I need to go. I take it up as the world's gone crazy. But I'm starting to think that maybe it's an AI and the Antichrist through social media that's like the woke mind virus is possessing people. And the world is going down. And the only reason it's not really affecting me as heavy as it is everybody else is because I'm isolating. I isolate. I don't talk to anybody. And I'm just converting mass amounts of energy all the time. You can see it too. We're going down. You know that we're doomed, my dear. We're low dancing in a burning room. We're going down. You can see it too. When I sing, the way I visualize it, I start converting light. I start converting energies. And when I do that, I can see that there are people in the town that have been projecting and trying to attach to me, that they jump at me, trying to keep me sedated almost. Like, I don't think it's a coincidence that even if I'm hiding and no one can find me, so like say I hide behind these dumpsters, if I'm new in town and I feel powerful and I have new kid syndrome and girls are starting to check me out and they like me and people are talking about me, even if even if I'm deep in the woods or I'm like in the bushes over there, somehow the police get in my face and they try their hardest to make me submit like a dog so that they can continuously overpower me for the rest of the time that I'm here. And if they don't get their way, they throw temper tantrums where they're stomping around, screaming, grabbing the gun, doing as much as possible to make me submit and get stuck and eaten and raped by the system, where they rip out all my good emotions and they eat it. It's sick. I haven't found a single person that I feel is worthy of any type of goodness, I guess. Like good emotions or positive, like the stuff I have to offer. I rarely find, no, I have, like, usually there's one or two people that come to my head, but I can't think of anybody, man. It just seems so simple to me to kind of to not be a part of the world and to be intrinsically focused on making everything better and making things perfect and be optimistic and progress oriented and not needing the validation of anything outside of you. That's my natural state. So when I walk into rooms, it's like I burn all that away, and then I have these disgusting darkness monsters inside of people. Like I see their bodies, but I can see the underlying thing of what's coming at me. And it made itself obvious in the torturing an old schizophrenic video. If you watch the torturing an old schizophrenic video, you can see firsthand how demonically possessed people attack me on a daily basis. Like, that interaction was light work compared to what happens to me on a daily basis. And I've tried the keyboard warrior route, where I tried to help people on the internet, and I went into different groups and just said obvious things like, you know, how come the people that are defending pro-choice are men that will probably never get laid for the rest of their life? How come with all these people that are arguing and you guys that are screaming and prideful and prejudiced, how come there's never any black or Irish people or indigenous people in these comment sections? How come these people throwing these jabs that are like these stupid feral white people that when you look at their profile picture, it looks like they have full families and they're on a boat and they have jobs and a life, and some of them are buff, but they're all white people that are not black, not Irish, and not indigenous Americans. And those people are the ones that seem to be suffering the most. Those are the ones that are walking around twitching, and they seem paranoid all the time. They're wearing their sunglasses and they're twitching all the time. They're playing power games. They're suffering, and they're on the internet like feral rabid dogs, just attacking anyone that has a sense of peace and light. I'm watching it firsthand. Like, I go through the Facebook groups and I watch how many people like scroll down and find people that seem to be creative and hoping for a better tomorrow, and throw the haha emote and try to say some shit that'll ruin their day. Like, trying to alter their frequency to be more negative, dragging them down. How come it's these people? Or like pro-choice things. Sometimes I'll throw a gif of a baby smiling when they do the pro-choice stuff, and I'm like, how come you believe that if you found a baby cell, like a fertilized egg, on another planet, or even just a tiny amoeba, you would freak out because that would mean that there's life? But you guys are screaming all day, every day, screaming at people on the internet about making abortion legal. My dear, slow dancing. Hold up. I'm trying to remember what I said to them. I said I spent all day in the woods and I thought about you guys, because I said that if you look at the zinc spark, when the egg gets fertilized by the sperm, there's a mini Big Bang that happens at the atomic level, and the whole color of the thing changes. The energy gets so much denser and vivid. There's a lot of shit that happens at the microscopic level as soon as the sperm is inside the egg, and the egg has all these sperm cells surrounding it, and it chooses the one that it wants, and then the sperm cell goes in after the egg chooses which one it wants. And then there's a mini Big Bang, an atomic explosion, and then the cell is supercharged, and then it grows from there. So what science has figured out is that we have independent Higgs fields. Like, the reason that we have emotions and thoughts and belief systems and paradigms and we're living in different realities is because there's all this energetic information around us that's a part of us. It's attached to us. It's in our genetic code. We're radiating consciousness out. We're radiating energy through the Higgs field. And that's working in tandem, co-creating with reality around us. We just aren't trained to perceive it because we've been lulled to sleep for hundreds of years. But at the atomic level, when the zinc spark happens, that's when consciousness gets in, and then the cells start building around that original cell. Doesn't that make more sense? That the genetic blueprint or the Wi-Fi downloads into the cell as soon as it's fertilized, and then it starts to build. things that would put a lot of things into perspective, like the government making up problems that most of America is hyper focused on, so that the masses of people that are susceptible to bandwagoning on things like that bandwagon onto that and give their mental bandwidth to these stupid problems on the internet instead of promoting the positivity that's coming from Irish indigenous people. Does that make sense? There are builders and there are destroyers, and the destroyers are mostly destroying because they're just bandwagoners, and the system is designed to utilize those bandwagoners to attack builders. My parents are supposed to be builders, but they're bandwagoners. My cousin's supposed to be a builder, but he's a bandwagoner. They're the lowest rank of people you can imagine. I don't find them too far off from pedophiles. I think they call them degenerates. And the way to escape that is with purpose. The way to escape that is with purpose. When you follow your purpose and you take risks and you try to do things that you love consistently over time, that commitment steers your ship and shifts your daily habits into becoming a better person, because you know you're a better person. But what happens is when you settle, all the stuff that you would usually knock away is, I don't like that, I don't like that, I don't like that. That's not me, that's not me, that's not me. When you settle, that becomes you. And with people like me, they're using force to try to force me to settle, overwhelm me to the point that I give up. But I know when I go into the woods, the birds sit with me. The birds sit with me out in the woods. The eagle comes and sits down near me. The crane comes and doesn't get as close, but he gets near me. He like sits at the riverbank below me, because they just want to be around me, because they feel that I'm a gateway to a higher form of love. So I don't know what I'm gonna do, man. I have such amazing talent, but the world has gone crazy, and I've just been taken advantage of so much that I got a donation, and I spent it on supplements. So I have vitamins, and I have omega-3s. I'm out of food. I don't know where to get food. There's nowhere. I don't even think there's a way to get food stamps. So I'm officially out of food and out of money. But I knew that was going to happen. I was expecting to go to Mount Mansfield. So I loaded up and ate a bunch of food, so that no matter what, wherever I'm going, I'm not going to be starving. But now I can go into starving Marvin mode. And I'm just going to pray. I'm going to pray for the means to be able to get what I want done, and pray for the right things to come at the right time. I'm going to pray to keep having dreams that teach me things and to keep me close to the light. The birds are showing up to help me. And now I'm going to rest. Thanks for watching.